Yeah. So talking about it now, I'm like, yep, nope. I ain't in trouble about it right now. Right.
I plead the fifth.
I plead the fifth.
1, 2, 3, 4, fifth.
What's up, everybody?
My name is Anthony Irvin.
You beat yourself?
Yeah, CB myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Jim Green. Don't even need to hit a traffic light. Okay, good.
Welcome to
One Set. Dude. Oh, my goodness. Dude, happy summer. Wow.
Happy Summer. Is it officially summer or is it
So by the time this drops, it will be. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So happy summer.
Summer. Let me turn this
Whoopsie.
cap around right quick.
Now you look like Cyclops there.
No, fun fact. I don't think I ever told you about this. When I auditioned for So You Think You Can Dance, the casting director was like, if you're like wearing a hat, little like tip for you, the brim is shadow casting over 20% of your face. So they were trying to tell us, hey, pull it around. And I'm under the light. Well, the lighting in here is coming from the ceiling. So like right now it's like cutting me off that way. That's why I was trying to wear the cap backwards. Now I'm just like, well, you can just spray it off. I don't even give it.
Whoopsie. Right. Yeah, let's do that. Let's talk about our experiences because I don't think we've ever really went into full detail. For the listeners and watchers, you know, I forget how long it was ago that you auditioned for So You Think You Can Dance, but I also back in 2000.
I was gonna say you did the American Idol.
I think
audition,
13
right?
or 14. I auditioned for American Idol at one point. So let's talk about that tonight, or a little bit for the next little bit. How our experiences were. I know you went a little bit further than I did in American. I didn't go. I didn't get past the first round. There was a lot of people.
I think what would be really fun, and I think that a lot of people might portray like the audition process as like, oh, like this is a hobby kind of thing. But it's very much like, hey, this is people's like livelihood and career kind of thing. So approaching it from the aspect of like, hey, this is your interview, right? So let's talk about the interview processes, and let's talk about like getting your foot in the door. That would be fun.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's start with let's actually swerve this and start with you, because you've been at your job for 17, 18 years now, something like that. Maybe
the day job,
15?
since 2009.
Yeah, I was gonna say, okay, so 14 years. So how did you fall into that? Like, did someone like recommend you? Did you apply? Was it like straight out of college? Like, share that with us.
Not necessarily a funny story, but we'll X your name out if we don't want her to be known. I don't think they're going to be tearing her down.
Don't name drop anybody. It's fine. It's fine.
But a person that we used to work for, his wife worked at the school that the college that I went to, and she knew my boss. She knew one of my bosses, and she knew that I was looking for interns, so she called my boss and said, hey, I have this student looking for an intern. And at that point, I got denied maybe 2, 3, 4 different internships because I needed an internship in order to graduate. So I'm like, I guess I'm going to summer school or something, or at least I'm not going to be graduating.
I don't mean to laugh.
No, I was laughing myself. I'm like, well, I guess I ain't graduating, because I was at the point where I was just giving up. I didn't know where else to look for. So she comes into one of my classes and says, "Hey, Aunt, I think I have an opportunity for you. Like, here's the stuff I'll give you." So, long story short, she set me up, and
your job, like that you are waking up for. I mean, this is dropping on a Friday, but your job that you wake up for Monday through Friday during the week is directly related to that guy that we used to work for.
It's crazy, right?
You never told me that, right?
I thought I probably told you an instant.
You thought you might have.
I never
said,
did.
Hey, I never knew that. Like, that was the connection to the job that you have, that you've been at for 14 years now.
If it wasn't for her, I probably would have never gotten this job.
That to me is mind blowing.
Yeah, it's funny because she actually she worked with my boss in a lab years ago, so they kind of knew each other for a couple of years and blah 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 blah. So they kept in contact here and there, and again, she told my boss, "Hey, I have this student," and plus one, I never took any of her classes. She was never my teacher. She just knew me through working with said guy and husband, blah,
right?
Me anything, but so she pulled me aside after one of my classes and says, "Hey, Aunt, I think I have this opportunity for you. They're working with this stuff, working with that." I'm like, I don't care what it is. I just need something. I need to graduate. So I'm like, everybody else has denied me. So I
don't care what it is.
I was desperate.
That's
at that
amazing.
Point. I wanted to graduate. I wanted to get out of there. But I went into it.
You're going to summer school. You're going to summer school.
Yeah. I was like, it's either this or SS summer school. So I went into the interview with an open mind. I mean, I was, and again, we're a very small company. So at that point, I think there was maybe just about not even 10 people working, if so. And he they sat me down, talked about what I'm into, blah blah blah, and they're like, "Okay, well, you start on Monday." I'm like, huh?
Like, so, it wasn't even an interview, right? It was just like, because you knew a person, they were just like, we need this person, and you're like
I didn't think it was going to be
similar
that
story.
Swift.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was going to be that easy. I mean, it's good that I had that connection. It's all in who you know, right? But it was funny. So yeah, that's been the connection to the job that I've had for this many years. So she was the biggest influence in order for me to get in there. And she had recently retired, 3 years ago? I know it was pretty recent. I think it was during the pandemic she retired.
You're asking about the person that got you the job?
Yes.
Because I wouldn't know. Because that connection was cut like 2015, 16. So
gotcha. So the only reason I knew was because of said college. They were sending out, because every year everybody has like the retirement list, right? So I saw her name and on there, I'm like, oh, okay, well, cool, she's retiring, blah blah blah. And since that I haven't really talked to her, but that I am pretty amazed I never told you about that. I thought you at least knew something of that connection.
I think that and maybe it's just been that many years that I don't remember that wasn't and for anyone watching this now, Anthony, and you can attest to this, we were not as tight-knit bonded back then like we are now, right?
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
there is definitely an opportunity that like you might have like side mentioned, oh yeah, I got this job through insert the name.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh wow, that makes sense because one, you and I worked for husband, and two, she was a professor at school. So I was like, oh, like that adds up. But just like reflecting on that now, so far removed, it's just so fun. It's so hilarious.
It is. It really is.
Wow.
So
So
you said you had a similar story?
You didn't even have to. I was gonna say you didn't even have to like interview for the job. It was just kind of like, okay, you're starting on Monday, and you're like, sure, all right.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I went in for a interview, but I mean, it really wasn't like anything drawn out. Like, okay, well, we'll call you back, and after we go through a round of this and that, like, it was pretty much they told me I would be able to start at said time after I was done. I'm like, okay, cool. Because like I said, I went in there thinking I was not even going to get anything because I was turned down by everybody else. So
right. So it's funny that like, and we'll talk about like the audition process because that it is a different beast in its own right, you know.
Yeah.
But well, I worked at Wawa, and the general manager of that store, I think I mentioned this in like episode 3 or 4, like way back when. Her daughter danced at my studio, and I grew up like I basically like I knew the GM, and it was like I went in under formality. Like I sat down like with my suit jacket. I had, and this was before this was 2010, and this was before like they allowed any type of facial hair like at Wawa at all. She was like, hey, it looks good on you, but it's gotta go. And I was like, is this a deal breaker? And I was just like, you know, I think it was like, hey, do you remember the first time you grew a beard? You were like, oh wow, I'm like a man now, right?
Right.
But yeah, it was easily like I knew I had the job walking in. Like I walked in, and the interview was literally just formality. It was just like,
Yeah.
hey, we're doing this because we have to do this kind of thing. And any other like teaching job with dance that I got, it was either like a referral that someone was like, hey, he's good, you should bring him on board. And I just walked in and I was like, hey, how you doing, little mama? Let me whisper in your ear, kind of thing.
I'm here.
Yeah, sup.
Show me the money.
The one job I
we don't
got,
pay our people. But we can pay you an exposure. Okay, I'm out.
Okay, toodles.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know if I talked about this one in like episode 5 or 6, but like, I dated a person that this one time that like couldn't hold a job to save themselves. Like I couldn't even tell you if they're alive right now, right?
Yeah. Same.
No, but I literally applied for a job just to be like, hey, watch me go get this job, secure it, and maintain it.
Right.
So I literally went into the interview like, I don't need this job. I'm just doing it because, hey, you put out an ad like, oh, you need a dance teacher? And I was just like, hey, little mama, how you doing? Let me whisper in your ear. Kind of.
Yeah.
And I held that job for like 3 years. Easy. And then like pandemic happened and other life things happened, and then I didn't wind up working there after that. But yeah, I haven't I haven't ran into like the struggle of like, oh my goodness, I need to go get a job and like go interview and like to like save myself kind of thing. It was always like like the opportunities always just kind of fell in my hand, and like
Yeah.
the backup dance jobs that I've had were all like, "Hey, are you free on this day? We need you to dance." And I was just like, yep. Just like right now, I have
Right.
something in my inbox that's like, "Hey, I would like you and some of your friends or colleagues to do a 40th birthday party." It's right there. Like my
Mm.
Facebook inbox is blinking right now, and I'm like, "All right, well, I need to get back to them sooner than later." It's just I know the date that they want me available for. It's like it might be a conflict kind of thing. So
The subject's like,
to see
"Hey,
about
little
that.
mommy, let me whisper in your ear." Okay, let me
Basically.
get back to this guy. Yeah, basically.
All right. So the boring stuff is
But
out of the way, right? Let's talk about like the
yeah,
audition
let me
stuff
let me talk to you
because
about one
that's
more thing before we switch over though, because
for
your
sure.
thing about saying like I pretty much had the interview like or I had the job going into the interview. I
Right.
just thought of another thing on my end that since we were kind of on the subject of talking about like stuff that we came into and like, all right, we kind of had this in the bag and we didn't even know it or we knew it.
Right.
And I'll shout out this place. It don't matter. I mean, they were good to me while I was lasting there. When I landed the Chadsford Tavern gig,
Yes.
that
I
was
remember that.
like a very big thing for me. So I was covering for a musician friend of mine one night, and again, one of those things where you're at the right place, the right time. I was with another musician friend of mine, and we went to see this guy that I ended up eventually covering for. And I met him, I talked to him, blah blah blah, and he hits me up maybe about a month later and says, "Hey, I can't play my gig tonight. Would you be able to, or I can't play this week or next week. Can you hop on and just cover for me?" I said, "Sure," because I've always been trying to get at this place for the last couple of years. I'm like, this is my opportunity. So I got in there. Then I talked to the manager after. Week later, I meet up with him, to try to, say like, "Hey, I mean, if you need another person or blah blah blah." So I'm in there in the back with him while he's chopping up these big tomahawk steaks, and I'm like, "Yeah, I mean," and saying like, "If you ever need a musician, blah blah blah, I can, do these." Like, "How about you start Sunday?" And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I just landed it, and I was just there for a little over a year doing Sundays from 4 to 8. And then the pandemic happened, and it just all went downhill. I was very, sad to see that go. But that was a
Yeah,
very, cool, fun gig while it lasted for me.
dude. I remember I showed up to watch you there at least a half a dozen times, and like
I was gonna say you
it
guys
wasn't
came up there a
necessarily
few
like
times.
it wasn't like super close to home for me, but I was also like, this is such a like nice venue kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and by the way, their wings were really good. From what I remember,
Oh
I was
yeah.
like, all right, this place's food is not bad by any means. I was like, I come back
Oh yeah.
here
And again,
without
I'll,
Anthony
I'll shout
playing.
out the cook because he is a bomb cooker, and shout out to Phil who is co-manager, and you know he's also the head cook there. Awesome cook. Anything they prepare was top of the notch. And when I was playing there, they always had their seafood tray there, so I would just go to town on the seafood there. And then uh every once in a while they would have like specialty things like once or twice a week. And the food there was amazing. They had like a all you can eat, yeah, the all you can eat seafood buffet was there when I
Yeah,
was playing there, so I was promoting that along with me playing there. So yeah, their food was amazing. So I mean, if you guys are listening to us and you're from Delco in the Delaware County area, hit up the Chad's Ford Tavern. You will
For
not
sure.
be disappointed. Unfortunately, I'm not playing there anymore, but they do have live music there. They have bands there on Saturday nights. So definitely go support a really good, restaurant establishment. They were just on. I wish I remembered the name of the show. They just got featured on a big TLC show, one of those, or maybe the Food Network, on like one of the big, not the Guy Fieri one, but there's another one. It's like American restaurants or American something with it, and they got featured, and they had like a big episode on the Chad's Ford Tavern. So they were doing really big things. So yeah, hit up the Chad's Ford Tavern if you guys are in the Delco area.
Dude, let's tangent even more. Seafood, yes or no?
Hell yes.
Hell yes. Okay. So
all about it. All about it.
So today, when we're recording, the 19th, was my mom's birthday. Yesterday was Father's Day. I had to work. I had rehearsal last night, so I got to help out like my dad around the house on Saturday. So that to me was kind of like we had like our time then.
Yeah.
But we got like 2 pounds of just crabs from like media, and
nice.
I think the last time that we did like a summer like crab fest kind of thing, it was like 5 years ago. Our friend, he won't want me to say his name, so I won't say it.
We'll block it out.
Yeah, this guy I used to dance with that I was like really, really good friends with. That should probably get it to you, right? He was over this one time and we ran out. He was like, let's get crabs. And we literally just decked out the deck table, and my dad just had like a field day. So that was what we did for dinner tonight. Was like we did like a crab and shrimp cocktail kind of thing.
Nice.
So good. Now I'm one of those like impatient people where like I hate ripping apart the crab just to barely get any.
I was just gonna say that's my thing about it. I'm not all about like cracking up the crabs and everything. I will mess up some crab legs. Like the all you can eat crab leg things, give it to me.
Sure.
But I'm so impatient when it comes to like cracking up the crabs and everything. I've done it, but if I have a chance to just do the crab legs, I prefer that rather than, it's like I don't want to have to work so hard to get to the meal.
Right. And I every time, and when I say every time, I mean like every 5 years that I do the thing that we did tonight, I always talk about the story. I was out with my dad down, it was near Rehoboth, but like my godmother and her sister took us out to this place. It was like, I think it was the Old Mill Crab Barn. I think that's what it's called. But they used to sit there with a cup and just fill the cup with the crab meat and then just pour the melted butter over top and then eat it out with the fork. Like, but they would spend 45 minutes easy just getting like the good crab meat out of like, you get a crab that's this big and you get this much quality crab meat, and it's like, wow, that's the right there. And it's like, no, this is everything else around it, right?
Right. You gotta clean the before you get to eat the
My dad always said, don't eat that yellow mustard stuff.
Yep. My dad would say that because he would be the one cleaning it out, and he'd be like, "No, don't eat that. That's not good.
don't eat the spicy mustard stuff." Yeah, Missed that.
That's not spicy mustard. It's spicy, but it ain't mustard. Like
That's doo-doo caca right there, right?
yeah. Oh Jesus.
God. Oh my God.
Yeah, I haven't had a good like crab fest in a while. So that would be really cool to do.
Episode 200, right?
Yeah. Here it
No.
comes.
Hold on. Because we gotta, every 50 years is every year, right? So episode 100 is December. I mean, I don't have it logged into my phone like that. I feel like 150 would be the next year, right?
We'll probably be next summer, yeah.
We'll figure it out. We'll do a pool episode and we'll do a crab fest and we'll make it real fun, right?
Oh yeah.
All right. Let's get back to the audition stuff, right? So talk to me about the American Idol audition.
Yeah. So again, I forget when it was. I believe it was their last season before they came back and did like the next type of season they had. I think they've had 2 or 3 seasons after they said it was their final season, which is weird. I pretty much after that season I stopped really watching. I didn't really watch too much of it anyway. I just knew that I'm like, well, I figured I'd give it a chance. I knew I wasn't going to make it far, but it was one of those things like, give it a shot. You can never say that you didn't try it. So I had a gig at the Trocadero Theater the night before. So, I felt it was good to kind of be able to just warm up and have something to kind of get the, little jitters out. I would take that as like the practice as well. So I didn't have to worry about spending the night before practicing for hours because it was pretty much only one snippet of a song that you had. So I really didn't perform that long. I was waiting for longer than what I performed. So I got out there around like 3 a.m. and this was at the Leocore Center around Temple. So yeah, got there around 3 o'clock. They might have started letting people in maybe around 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, I think. So I was out there pretty early with me and Jen. Shouts out to again, I'm not sure if we were engaged at that point. I know we weren't married at that point, or I'm not sure if we were engaged or we were just still boyfriend and girlfriend. But, she was a trooper for being out there at 3 o'clock in the morning with me.
Wait,
but,
hold on. How long? Let me help you try to figure this out. How long were you engaged? Because, like, I know where you proposed. And I think you were both together for like a year. Does that sound right?
I proposed to her in 2012, and then we got married in 2014. So yeah, like 2 years.
2014. Year and a half.
Yeah.
Right? Something like that.
Roughly a year and a half to 2 years. Yeah.
So it sounds like you were probably engaged when you did the audition thing.
I would bet money on that we were engaged probably at that point.
That sounds right.
Yeah. So shouts out to my then fiance, now wife at the point in time for, sticking it out with me at 3 a.m. sitting in line, because I thought the line was going to be jam packed at 3 o'clock in the morning. But I think we were like maybe the first 50 to 100 people there. And so I was like, okay, it wasn't as packed as I thought, but we had packed food, packed like drinks. Because I was planning to just, stay the long haul to be able to get out here, move up, get there really quick.
What time of year was this? That's important. I want to know this one because I have my stories
had to been warm because I wasn't wearing a jacket.
Okay.
It was definitely probably around the spring or summertime because I wasn't wearing a jacket. So it had to have been spring, summertime.
Okay.
I'd say. It wasn't very warm, wasn't very cold. So it was
And
decent. It was
lucky for you.
manageable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have been like probably F this. I mean, I like the show, but I don't like it that damn much.
So then,
So I
okay,
mean, being
walk
in
us through the
line really wasn't
process.
too bad. Yeah. So once before they really started letting people in, they started handing out people's papers that you had to sign, and it was stuff to be like, okay, and this is stuff that I wasn't expecting to do, but it was like, put down your name, how long have you been playing, what do you play, what are you going to be playing for us, I believe, and then at the bottom it's like, give us your story. Then I'm like, and I think we both talked about this again on the podcast in our early days about saying like, well, story, I mean, I just like playing music. I'm here to, showcase my music. But I didn't know, like, this is your time to, give them a compelling story to be like, okay, this is for a TV show, so nobody's gonna like connect with somebody's like, he just likes music and he just wants to showcase his stuff. Like, no, they're looking for people that have a heartbreaking story or a legitimate story that people can connect with. So, but then again, I didn't know it at the time.
And I was so naive to that too, and like I didn't realize, oh, I'm auditioning to be like a reality TV like personality,
Yeah,
right? And that's why it's like, hey, you have to have
right.
a unique story, and that was part of my downfall with all of the things, and I'll jump into all of them, but it is so similar to what you're saying right now. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, talent isn't enough, right?
It's crazy, and we'll get into that in a minute after we get our auditions and
Yeah.
how we feel about like the aftermaths of stuff. But so pushing forward after like giving out, like writing everything down, because again, I wasn't expecting to write anything down, but again, thankfully I had Jen there. She's like, I have a pencil, because who brings the effing what guy is going to bring a pencil on a random time? So thankfully I had something to really write with. So we get in there, and they start giving us assigned sections and seats and everything. And I think they started breaking this off into sections of like, okay, if you're, in this type of music, go to this section, this type of music, go in this section. But then again, or it was something like they had like maybe 3 or 4 different tents with panels, and this was like the open round.
So
So
they partition you off by genre, essentially. Like, hey, if you're
well, they
go ahead.
had genres. But they didn't tell you what panel was for what genre. So you had to be given the luck to be at the right panel. Like if you were at the panel that was like rock artists, you were gonna be probably in it better. But they didn't tell you, like, you were pretty much gonna be going into like a lottery. So there's like maybe 3 or 4 tables of panels. One was maybe for rock, pop, R&B stuff, but you didn't know which one it was. They just put you at a panel, and
Sure.
I guess that's how they filtered everybody out. That you're just hoping that you get to the right panel, you play your song, they like you, and hopefully you get put into the next round or the next stage of it. Because when I went in there, I thought people were going to be, seeing, I think, who was the panels at that time? I think it was still Jennifer Lopez. I forget who was with Jennifer Lopez at the time.
Not Randy Jackson.
I think Simon. Was Randy Jackson still there? I'm not sure. I know Simon Cowell was out. I'd have to look. Let me look real quick.
I mean, Randy. Randy. I feel like him and Simon were out like almost at the same time. Paula Abdul was out, I think, before them, right?
Yeah, I think Paul Abdul maybe she took over J-Lo's spot. I think so.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
I feel like it's the other way around. Like I'm pretty sure that Paula Abdul was in early on. I think J-Lo came in after the fact. Because then,
you know what? I think this might be the panel here. It was Keith Urban.
That sounds right.
And this who was it? Harry Connick.
Okay.
I'm not sure how to say his last name. So that might have been the panel.
I think Keith Urban on the panel sounds about right for like the 2012 era, like 10
sounds
years
about
ago.
right.
That seems right.
So again, I thought like for the people that were going to get to that level, I thought people were going to be seeing Jennifer Lopez that day, but they actually said no. That today is just maybe like filtering out the first rounders, and then you have to come back a week later. And then once you get there, then if you get to that point, you meet Jennifer Lopez and the whole panel. So you didn't necessarily go through the whole process. Again, I'm pretty sure you had the same things. Like what you see on the show is definitely not the simple process. It's like a couple days worth of auditions.
Yeah,
so
I'll get to it when.
I'll tell you a cool thing of what I saw while in there. So I'm. As it gets maybe a half hour or so before I know I'm about to get called up to start going on to my group of what we were in. So I was grouped with maybe 2 or 3 other girls with me. And
now, how long did you get to play for? Was it like 20 seconds tops kind of thing?
Roughly 20, 30 seconds.
Okay.
So I played for about 20, 30 seconds, and I played Remembering Sunday by All Time Low.
Nice.
At that point, I figured playing an original may not have probably popped as much. I figured they would have maybe wanted something they either wanted to know or something that was like my best work. And I felt my voice was strong enough to be able to do that and feature like a good enough vocal range in order to showcase that, because my originals at that point didn't really show a lot of vocal range. So I figured a cover of one of my best covers that I felt confident about was probably good. But before I went up to the panel, I'm going up, and if I can find the picture, somebody took a picture of me and posted it on Instagram of right before my group was about to audition. I'll have to find that. It was on my Instagram years and years ago, so I'll have to chuck that up and I'll put it on the pod here. But right before I was about to audition, there was these group of people like sitting in the stands away from everybody else. And we were like, what are these people doing? Are they, out? Or are they like something special? We later found out through the loophole of everybody talking, these people were going straight to Hollywood. They were at the panels already, and they're like, just go right to Hollywood, or just, put these people in a little spot, and they're going to probably be taken to Hollywood already.
They had the look for TV. It was like,
because some of the people, they had the whole look to them. Never knew what they sounded like, but they definitely had the image probably of what they were going for. So at the time, they probably felt, okay, these people seem like a little bit of a package, so we're just going to ship them right out. But everybody else, is like, okay, we got to start from scratch with everybody else. So when it came to my audition, I think I only played for really like 20, 30 seconds. And then the 2 or 3 other girls beside me, they did their thing. And they just told you right then and there. They didn't take anybody from my little row. So they said, everybody had, good voices, everything else, but it doesn't seem like it's strong enough to go further, because they were saying, since this is our last season, we're really being strict on who we let go. If it was like past seasons, we probably would have let you guys go because we would have been have a little more freedom with it. But since this is the last season, we're trying to crack down on like, not trying to let every single person go. So, but you guys did have a unique set. But thank you for coming out. So, not like they really shat on everybody, but I think that was a subliminal saying for saying you guys just didn't make the cut. Get the hell out of here.
Sure.
But all in all, it was a good experience. I'm glad I did it just to say that I did it.
Yeah, I mean, my first time auditioning for So You Think You Can Dance, it was January, so it was freezing. Got to New York City around 11:45 p.m. and just stood outside for 10 hours.
Jeez.
And then
now, when you got there, was there already like a big line forming? Were you like kind of one of the first couple hundred? How was it?
I think I was in the first like 150, right?
Gotcha.
So, because I got there before midnight, but definitely like walked in and there were probably a couple hundred people in front of me that went on, and I got to watch them all audition. Now, on stage, like for the dance thing, it's literally you have like 15 seconds and shoot your shot or get the fuck out kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. So I got to stand there and watch people. Now, my first time auditioning, I was 20 years old. So this was 16 years ago. And I was just like, holy smokes. Some of these people are like just aliens on another planet kind of thing. Like just the things they were doing. I was like, all right. So I got on stage. I did my thing for 15 seconds. And it was just kind of like, yep, you're beat. Get out. But then 2 years later, I went with like a friend of mine, and her mom was like, hey, I told my daughter that like once she turned 18 that like I would take her to audition for the show. Do you want to come? And I was like, I've done this already, but okay, like I'll go just like for sing giggles, literally.
Yeah.
I am not time stamping any of this, by the way.
Me either now.
So I went and I went through the initial process where, like you were saying, it wasn't like the panel that you see on television. It was the casting director that was just kind of like, yep, if you're good, I'll consider you. But if you're not, go home. Right.
Yeah.
So,
because they have to have some type of way to funnel everybody before they get to the good meat and potatoes of everybody. So it's understandable because there's a couple hundreds of people that come out to these things. So there's no way they're going to put that many people in front of these bigger judges. That'll take the shows will run for forever. So I mean, it's understandable they got to filter a good chunk of those people out.
So when you're watching it on TV, like, I guess now America's Got Talent is like the popular thing right now.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like what you see auditioning on the main stage in front of the panel with the audience. That is not step one for anyone.
No.
Anyone that's watching, newsflash, that's not how that goes. Okay.
No, definitely not. I've never auditioned for that, but I can tell you just from being on American Idol, and I'm sure it's the same way. Those people have probably went through multiple auditions. It was not their first time auditioning. Their audition, they probably did that about 3 or 4 times before getting onto that audience in the panels.
So I did the freestyle round the second time I auditioned for So You Think You Can Dance. And they were like, they gave me like a purple wristband and they were like, come back later. they were like, we're considering you. And I was like, all right. Like, I just shrugged my shoulders kind of thing. I went back later and they were like, here's your gold. Like, I got the golden ticket, which was like, come back to, and that was when I got to audition in front of the panel. Like, it was
like the legit panel.
The legit panel was Nigel Lithgow, Mary, and Lil C were the three at the time. And it was funny because like everyone was like prepping their routines, and like we got to so I auditioned in Nashville, and there were 5,000 of us, and they took 100 of us to like the legit panel day, and then they cut us in half, just by saying, okay, freestyle. Like they played music. I think it was Flow Rider, You Spin My Head Right Round, Right Round. And it was like, go out there, do stuff. And I've never been a confident freestyler, but I just went out there and I did the thing, and they were like, hey, you're great. And I was like, what?
What?
And then
same.
And then I performed the routine that I had prepared, and they were like, that was corny as hell, man. And I was like, thank you.
Appreciate
it. But then like they were like, it was like a yes and a no and a yes. So I got 2 out of 3 yeses from the panel. So I got to go on. I got to go on to like the partner round. And then and then the one judge that was like clowning me and was like, yeah, what did you just do? She was like, yeah, no, we've actually been rooting for you all day, and here's the ticket to Vegas kind of thing. And I was like, whoa. And then I went to Vegas, and I got eliminated first round. So hey, it be like that sometimes, right? But like at least I can talk about the experience, and it was really cool.
I was gonna say, I remember at the point you couldn't really talk a lot about it, and you know I was really stoked to kind of eventually hear from it, because you couldn't talk about it for what, like 6 months to almost a year.
So the contract thickness was like this, that I had to sign off and say, hey, I'm not allowed to talk about my experience for, it was like 3 to 5 years that I couldn't even speak to it.
Oh wow, even longer. Jeez.
Yeah. So talking about it now, I'm like, yep, nope, I ain't in trouble about it right now. Right?
I plead the fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th.
Yeah. So it's cool to talk about it now, and just to be like, hey, like reflecting back on it, like I didn't even get into like the America's Best Dance Crew stuff, like, and we can save it for another time. But
yeah.
We auditioned, like the crew, we auditioned, and they were like, all right, what's your story? Like they did the same thing. They're like, how do we market you? How do we sell you to the public? How do we get the ratings off of you because you have a sob story? And we were just like, nah, we just like to dance. And that's why they were like, hey, cut. Okay, cut. Right?
Okay, cut.
Yeah, seriously. And I think I ran into that too with, you know, the So You Think You Can Dance stuff, because it's like, all right, I was fine. I was like, I guess they saw something in me that they were like, oh, he might look good on TV, but like I didn't have the story. And they tried to interview me more than once, and they were like, all right, come on, give us something to work with. And I was like,
give us something.
I like to dance.
Yeah. it's like the turtle guy. Like, I like turtles.
I like turtles.
All right, is that a bit? Like,
Seriously, it was very much just like, hey, you're good and all, but like, what else? And I was just like, the f- you
whoopsie.
mean what else? Like,
Right, like
I'm right
you're
here.
good, but you're you're
You're
good, but you don't have a graded story.
you're
Whoopsie.
boring.
You're boring. Which again, like what I was saying earlier about the fact that, you know, they were saying like, oh, well, what's your story? And I was like, what story? I mean, I'm a musician, I play music, I'm here to perform. I want to see the judges. What else type of story do you need me to have? But at that time, I wasn't expecting or understanding that that's where they were really taking these people to be like, okay, this person has a story, that person has a story. Ratings.
Ratings. Yep.
This guy here, whoopsie, boring. So we are sorry for our boring storylines, but we know we are good at our craft. So, you know, there's something that Dave Grohl kind of said before. He's like, you know, that we have all these TV shows of like judges that are trying to tell people that they're good at their craft or, oh, they're not good at their craft. Like, you know, if you are passionate about what you do, don't let these judges kind of like put you on a path of saying that you can't do something. Anybody can get to this certain level, so you don't need a show to determine your legitimacy. You know, like I always say, Daughtry didn't even win American Idol, and he's doing better than half the people that won. And they're only like Carrie Underwood and Kelly Clarkson out of the women that won are the only relevant people. You know, and I think Daughtry's pretty much the only guy that's really relevant. So anybody who's really won in the past hasn't really been relevant in the last couple of years that they've won. So, you know,
I think
and most of them didn't even win.
I think David Cook like had a stretch after he won the show.
He did have a good stretch. I was
one
of the guys that I voted to win.
Yeah. And
yeah.
I
he had
thought
that one good single, and then just
and it's unfortunate because it's like, hey, come on, like I think for us as viewers, and when I say us as viewers, I didn't watch that show for shit, but the people that won, like, they deserve to have all of the riches just showered on them, like, right in their forefront. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think, like, for David Cook, Chris Daughtry especially, I mean, you know,
I heard the contract that they had to sign for the people that won. I mean, I from what I like kind of read from years ago, like I heard the contract was a pretty stealthy contract, like
Stacks.
probably one of the
I'm sure
stack at the for the person that won, like you are owned. I forget the entertainment company that pretty much they were working under, but like they owned you for set amount of time in that contract. And, you know, again, all the people that won, I'm glad that, you know, Carrie Underwood is not under that contract anymore. She eventually probably got lifted up into something else. Same thing with Kelly Clarkson.
Right.
But I'm kind of glad that Daughtry never really won now, because he probably would have been stricken to that contract and, God forbid, would have never even reached the level that he's at now.
I mean, I can't even speak to like the people that won the show other than Kelly Clarkson. It was Ruben Studdard, I think, was next, and then Carrie Underwood. I think Fantasia was after that. Clay Aiken didn't win. Ruben Studdard beat.
Oh
Clay
yeah, that was
Aiken.
right. They were both.
So Taylor Hicks
against each
beat Daughtry. But like I can't even speak to anyone beyond that. And hey, let us know in the comments if I am absolutely wrong, and I will own up to it. It's fine. But I think I got it right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. Again, I don't really remember the whole 1, 2, 3, 4 of it, but yeah, like that. I mean, the Taylor Hicks thing, I was like, that was just pure, you know, fan favorite out of it. You know, he had a whole big fan base out of it. Now, I don't think Daughtry really had the dedicated fan set that what Taylor's. So, I mean, I personally think Taylor Hicks really wasn't that talented outside of Chris, but again, I don't think American Idol really looked for rock artists. They every year they kind of picked either a country artist, a pop artist, or something around those two genres. It's always been like a pop country artist, something around that. So like any type of rock person would get into the finals, but they would never pick a rock artist.
Yeah, they were like, all right, let's pick this geriatric guy right here. No problem.
Yeah. Was that and again, on my end, I had never really watched much of the America's Got Talent, So You Think You Can Dance. Was it kind of the same way for like winners for So You Can Think You Can Dance? Like some of the winners, have they been relevant, or have they kind of just won, had their shine, and now they're like, you know, working at a local gas station or something?
So, the very first winner of So You Think You Can Dance, I knew him through like the convention circuit, and he was like a superstar, like off the cuff. Like he was absolutely fantastic. The second winner, I think he was like kind of an underdog kind of thing. So the year I was in Vegas, and this is like one of the cool things was like there were 184 of us, I think, in the room, and the casting director was like, one of you in this room right now is the winner of the season. And that was like really eye-opening. I sat there and I was like, whoa, like if it ain't me, I'm like amongst like the winners, like somewhere in the room here. And I did know like probably about a dozen of the dancers that I was like auditioning with, and there were a couple that I was like, oh, they are like a shoe-in. They could easily win kind of thing. But the girl that won that year, super talented, super good. I couldn't tell you what she's doing right now. I don't know. I don't know if she's in the dance field still, or if she was just like, yep, nope, had my time and see ya. I'm out
of here.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, hello. There's also I think one of the most, well, there's Fiction, who like is super popular, and it's important to acknowledge like the hip hop winners, only because it's like usually if you're a hip hop dancer and you walk onto the show, you're cool, but you're not like the number one person. Fiction won, and he is outstanding, and I will send you his TikTok stuff. And Keita the Great is another one that like, oof, he like absolutely revolutionized. I think that's the word. Revolutionized the dance scene, and not just because of So You Think He Can Dance, but because he was out there like, hey, I'm not trying to gain popularity, but like watch me do the thing as good as I do it. And everyone was like, he changed the game kind of thing. So
awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I love to see it because there's so many contemporary winners on that show. And I can't speak to all of them because I don't remember all of them, but like I think about like the Step Up movies and knowing like, or at least being familiar with the people in the Step Up movies and being like, okay, I'm familiar with,
Yeah.
and you deserve to be on screen right here, right now, kind of thing. So that was pretty cool. And anything that we want to touch base on before we wrap up, or you good?
Not much. I was thinking we might have to do a part 2 of this because I'm gonna tell you for next week's episode there was a song that I'm gonna send you, and if you guys watch next week, you'll be able to see what song me and Jim are gonna analyze and talk about a little bit. Maybe we'll get into a little bit of our creations that we're talking about for episode 100. So make sure you guys tune in, follow, like, subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Hit us up, hit that email, hit the email up, onesetpod@gmail, and buy some merch. Check out the Patreon. We got a lot of other exclusive content going on there. And we thank you all for joining us for another episode. This has been One Set.